Welcome to Personal Mastery Training. I'm your host, Alvin Brown, former world class athlete turned entrepreneur and consultant. Join us as we learn from guests who have conquered their inner battles and share their journeys to success. Get ready for inspirational masterclasses and thought provoking strategy sessions to fuel your path to personal mastery. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to Personal Mastery Training. This is the platform where we have conversations. Let's call it. We always say who brings the meal, the main meal, and my other chefs here. We cook it up and we serve you some soul food, something good for the soul. We have conversations about pertinent, powerful thoughts that you're having. I'm sure because when you get to the bottom of it, we're all thinking the same thing a lot. A lot of us, no matter where you're from, at the soul level, we're all vibing at the same uh, wavelength. So today, here's the conversation: commitment. One of my four pillars of mastery is commitment. But how do you stay committed? It sounds easy, but my goodness, it's one of the toughest things, especially to the important things in your life, like say health, which is this is a topic of conversation that came up because we're now at this time of this recording, we're approaching another year, another new fresh calendar year. And even if some of you don't believe in setting goals, well, go with me. There's something in your life that you're not doing. Let's put it that way. Even if you're not a goal setter, there's something that you know in your mind, the back of your mind, you're not paying attention to, whether it be your health, whether it be relationship, whether it be your business, some business metrics that you need to pay attention to, something. I'm guaranteeing you there's something there. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how do we remain committed. How do we keep the fire going when it's not exciting anymore? The law of diminishing intent kicks in, and you set this goal. You're hot. You're hot as anything. At New Year, it was really hot. Next year, this is it. I had a couple of scares health wise, and and or someone passed, and you're thinking, yeah, it's my year. When I come back, I'm gonna do this. But in no time, just like at the gym, 3, 4 weeks after New Year's, the gym's empty again. And the gyms know that. They have to fill their roster really quickly, pre-December and post-December. They have to really get everybody in because they know February, no one's coming. All right. So, how do you get over this? Let's talk about that. Let's chop it up. I'm going to hand it over to the fellas, the Alliance, and let's see what ideas we can spur. And remember, before I hand it over, listeners, one idea well executed can change your life forever. So listen for the one idea. Don't glaze over it. If it hits you, write it down and execute on it. All right. Let me hand it over to the Alliance and see what's up.
Well, another awesome topic this morning. And, you think about commitment, and we're talking about New Year's resolutions to begin. And as you were talking about it, Alvin, I looked up a quick stat, and it depends on which organization you look at as far as the statistic you'll find. But when I when I Googled how long do New Year's resolutions last, at the very top, and they're in order, right? But at the very top, it says 88% of the people fail within the first 2 weeks. 88% gone in the first 2 weeks. January's not even over, and almost 9 out of 10 people have already failed in their New Year's resolution. So there's a lot of a room for opportunity. So how do you stay committed? And the good news is on this, there's a lot of wisdom out there on this that we can glean and then incorporate into what it is that we do every day. So one of the things for me is it's got to be written down, number one. Number two, it's got to be written down in a place that I can see it. And so I catch sight of it when I'm home, in my office, around, in the bathroom, rooms that I frequent. I have goals. I have commitments on the walls, literally in the form of whiteboards. And the nice thing about the whiteboard is if you want to update a goal or or you accomplish something, you want to add something new, you can do that with the power of one of these markers, right? And I love these things, these expo markers, because you can write on the whiteboard with them, but you can also write on windows with them. You can write on a bathroom mirror with them, and then you can easily clean that up and not damage any property. So for me, it's keeping those things front of mind. And one of the best ways to keep things front of mind is to keep them in front of you so you see it. And even if you don't directly look and read, your brain will will capture that image and record it every day. And so that's kind of one of those real easy hacks that really go a long way. And so, some people will print something out on a piece of paper and tape it to the bathroom wall, or print a document up and out and tack it to the wall in their office. But that's just one real easy way to put your goals in places where you can see them every day. And it's so interesting as I look around in my office here. I've got several things written down. I have some things on the wall printed behind me, you can probably see. And those are things I see all the time. And it's amazing the things that I have written down, I typically stay the course on. Things that are only in my mind, but I haven't written down, things come in, it comes and goes, and it doesn't happen. So I think it's been proven. There's a lot of research that shows the things we write down, commit to memory, and review every day, we typically execute on. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Great topic, as usual, keeping things in front of mind, so important. I'll start off by sharing a wisdom to everyone from Jean-Paul Sartre. And he says that commitment is an act, not a word. Okay. Commitment is an act, not a word. So let's dive into that a little bit. When I simply go on Google and look at the definition of word. Let's say you give your word about something, right? It's used to express agreement, right? Well, let's say you're in a relationship, just giving a simple example, but lovers give each other their word. I'm not gonna cheat on you. Well, it's one thing to give your word, and it's another thing to not do it. Right? Certain people do it anyways. So you understand how the action is so important. The word is the start, but ultimately, in order to manifest that vision, it requires an action with consistency every single day. So now let's dive into action. Well, it simply says, is a thing done? An act. Okay. So it's not a thing that's just on the checklist. Oh, I put it on the checklist. I created my strategy. I created my plan for a week. I sat down, I actually did the action of sitting down and creating the checklist. It's another thing to do what's on the checklist. Okay. So that's really the most important thing. And every single week, as I have conversations with so many people, and as I even look at myself, um, I realize that all these concepts, these complex concepts that we talk about every single week, come down to really simple, small actions every single day. Keeping things in front of mind, having a vision board, having a little checklist somewhere, as Charlie says. Well, that's a great action to do. But now, how do you create your schedule to actually put yourself in a position to get these things done? And when it's time to wake up and do them, it's as simple as doing them or not doing them, right? There's always that choice also. Um, as much as possible, what I love about these Sunday calls, okay? And what episode is this now, Alvin? 203, 204, potentially?
Ha ha ha. 223.
Okay, you see,
Ah,
I'm late.
uh-huh.
I'm late
223.
on the count. 223. Hey, this is what I call consistency. Now, this isn't really about Alvin being motivated at all, to get these episodes done. It's simply they're getting done, and that's it. He wakes up, we record, we share information, we get together, we make an impact, and as simple as that. So maybe my question is, and I'm sure Alvin, Charlie, you'll have great answers for me there and for all of us, is how do you get to a point where it becomes systematic like that? Okay, because with the New Year's resolution coming, people have a surge of motivation every single year, right? They have that surge of motivation that pushes them to action, but for a very limited time. As we can tell, the gyms will be full in January, probably 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks from now, they'll be empty again. Why? How do you keep that going? Are people making it too big, making it too complicated, more complicated than it is, and forget about the fact that all they have to do is really, or all we have to do is really just put one foot in front of the other, starting with that? Um, that's what I'm curious to know. But it's really commitment. Let's just remember that. Let's make sure it doesn't become a word, but it's viewed as an action. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
All right, some great conversations here. I'm furiously writing my notes and attempting to catch up and catch these ideas coming in and you know spill off of the ideas. So here's a couple of follow-ups. Dr. Charlie said, how the research shows, well, the I would guess the consensus, not sure about research, but the consensus says 88% have given up long into short time into the first month. There's no connection there. They've given up. They've said, okay, throw the hands up next year. Probably I'll start again in the summer, maybe this summer. I'll start in the summer. I'll have more time in the summer. It's easier in the summer, yeah, because I don't have to get dressed and everything. I can go outside. I love walking outside. I love the hot weather. It's easier, more motivated in summer. But oh damn it, summertime comes. So I have a barbecues and get-togethers, and you know that's the time to kind of relax. So September, yeah, the kids are back in school. A lot easier. The kids are back in school. More routine. Yeah. There's more routine. I'll have more time for myself. Summer's family time. September comes, I'll join the gym. That's in the gym industry. September is the second new year. So I'll join the gym in September. Packed up again. Gym's packed up. Routine's back on. Ah, damn it. Thanksgiving. You know what? And then there's Christmas. I'm gonna wait till the new year again and then start fresh. See, the excuses are many and numerous. The reasons why I can't do it are numerous. So that is why 88% find the easiest path to take. Because and they also misery loves company. Just think about it. If 10 of us hang out, I've got strength in numbers. I've got 8 to 9 people who are going to support me versus that one wet blanket over there who's watching what they're eating and pre-meal packing their meals and doing all this other stuff. Oh, how boring is that? And plus all my other friends are carrying about 10, 20 pounds. So, it's easier. So there's a lot of reasons why people don't commit. Write it down and leave it in full display, as Dr. Charlie says. It depends on how important it is to you. Write it down. Yeah, definitely, because it embeds itself in your eyes and then into the mind and the conscious mind. And then from the conscious mind with repetition, it goes into subconscious and starts to dilute eventually if you do it. But here's the thing. Jim Rohn said this, love this. He said, what's easy to do is also easy not to do. Write it down. How many of us write it down? And like everything else, in a few weeks, we stop looking at it. We habituate. We even put the elastic band on our wrist and snap it, and all kinds of things. We do all kinds of tricks, but eventually it fades. We stop doing it. Easy to do, but it's also easy not to do. So we don't do it. So I'm thinking about these concepts. So here's what I'm thinking about. I love Ray's delivery on commitment is not an act. It's a word. It's not an act. It's an act and not a word. It's an act. It's what you do. This is why most times in my life, I like to do this. I really love. Most people don't know what I'm up to until it's done because I just hate hearing myself. I hate hearing my. See, if I committed to this Sunday, as Ray brought up, and I after, oh, Ray, listen, man, not this Sunday, man, next one. Or I committed to my listeners. Oh, geez, you missed one again. They'll understand. I mean, come on, they're probably not committed to something too. They'll get it. I'll let myself off the hook because everybody understand, right, that I didn't make this one. But no, I will have to be the one that to listen to me tell you again, oh, not this time, next one, next week. Every time I see you, I got a next week. So I wouldn't want to hear myself. And small actions, yes, that ties into what I'm going to say next. I brought this up three. If you go back and listen to one, two, maybe two podcasts in the previously, 221, 222, 221, maybe even 220. I heard this great phrase, this wisdom that someone shared when they're looking to recruit athletes. They say they're looking for the starving, not the hungry. Because the starving will do whatever they can to continuously show up. The hungry gets fed and they're satiated. The commitment's gone. So think about what you want. Weight loss, make more money, go up in your company, go get that degree, whatever it is that you want. Is it just that you're hungry for it? Is it your ego or are you starving? Because I have to be starving. I have to do something, I have to be starving. That's why I don't often say something in out loud that I'm not gonna do. I started this language, Spanish, Duolingo, and I am on day 1047 of Duolingo. Think about that. 1047 over 2 years. So why? Because I've always wanted to learn this. And then I don't want to, one of my driving reasons is I know if I show up and even just doing this Duolingo for 3 minutes a day, I'm going to improve my Spanish. I'm going to get better. And so it's starting to kick in. I just know all I have to do is show up for 3 minutes. So what in your life can you just show up for 3 minutes? The gym. Just go to the gym for 10 minutes and see. I bet you won't stay for 10. Sounds ridiculous, right? But what you're telling your brain is, I want to be committed, right? You're overriding the pull towards mediocrity, the pull towards staying on the couch. No, I'm gonna put my shoes on. I've been going to the gym 7 days a week forever, a long time. I look back at pictures of videos on VHS tape that we did, big ass camera. I will look back at some baby pictures and the old pictures of the kids when they were younger. And I had a gym equipment in my basement apartment. So I was like, wow, I didn't realize I was doing that long. But what's so committed? Why am I so committed about it? Well, it's this need to not hear myself. Mine is mostly not hearing my damn self say something and not do it. That integrity to myself. Forget everybody else outside. Integrity to me. So that's one. Now, be aware of the law of diminishing intent. If you don't take massive action on what you want, the minute you say you want to do it, now you got to figure out if you really want it though. But if you don't take massive action, immediately after setting the goal, you'll enter the law of diminishing intent. So many people leave. I often think about Tony Robbins and on his concerts. I'm going to call them concerts because they really are. I think about Tony Robbins, and people go, and they do their thing and they walk on fire. They do everything, and they got the crowd just hopping, and everybody's doing. Tony doesn't do 2 hour concerts. He does 12. He's there all day, and they're immersed, and they're going back to change their lives. But how many people do you think leave that? And by Monday morning, they're all ready. By Friday, they're not doing it anymore. So what is it? Law of diminishing intent. Be careful of it. Now, I wrote here pain versus pleasure. Humans, by nature, in your nature, in your DNA, in your software, is this need for pleasure and avoidance of pain. So if what you want, if the change you're looking for is way in the distance, losing the weight, quitting smoking, alcohol, whatever it might be, it's way in the distance. The pleasure of getting that you're going to get from it is very distant. However, the pain, the immediate pain, and it is pain of not having the thing you want is now. What do you think humans tend to do? They tend to think later. I'll do it tomorrow. Mañana. I'll get to it tomorrow. Because the pain that they're going to get from this thing, from avoiding it, is right now. I am feeling pain. The mental pain of resistance can turn into physical discomfort. We don't like that. So I'm going to satiate it right now, and I'll start tomorrow. So pain versus pleasure. What is your why? There's another thing you can count on. You can lean on. Viktor Frankl, those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. What's your why? If you don't have a why, good luck. You will quit if there's no why. Remember, starving versus hungry. Get emotional. Is the thing you want, are you emotional about it? Being emotional is the glue. It's the sticky stuff. If I'm just making it from my cerebral head that I want to lose weight because I know I should, I know I have to, then you're probably not. Get emotional and keep getting emotional every day. Immerse yourself in the emotions of it. Increase the pain for not doing it. And just show up. Just show up every day. Just show up, as I said earlier. So I got a couple more, but I want to leave it there. A lot of ideas right there alone that I want to throw out there. But those are some of the things you can do. I'm going to pass that over.
I love it. And I want to hit on a couple of things you really said there, Alvin. You talked about the why and you talked about emotion, and those are two huge drivers because when we're talking about sustaining commitment, how do you sustain your commitment? You've got to fuel it. You've got to fuel your commitment, right? Whether it's our car or the vehicle that we drive, we got to fuel that thing to keep it going, right? Right now, it's winter time here in the States and in the Midwest. And so I got to fuel, I've got a heater in the house, but I got to fuel it. Well, the natural gas is its fuel. I got to fuel that thing so it heats the house. So same thing with our commitment. We've got to fuel it. Well, what are you going to fuel your commitment with? You got to fuel it with something that's sustainable. Okay. Something that you can go to over and over again whenever you're getting low on gas, right? When you're getting low on fuel. And this is something I haven't talked about much, but I'm going to talk about it today because of the subject matter. So when I decided to achieve my doctorate degree, do you think that was met with joy and celebration and good for you and go for it? No, it was met with ridicule. Ridicule. And people that I knew laughed. And no one likes to be laughed at. Definitely as a child, you don't like to be laughed at. As an adult, you don't like to be laughed at. And so for me, I had this goal to achieve, it was a stretch goal. I know that a very small percentage of the population has their doctorate degree in something that I wanted to achieve that I felt would really help me down the road and in my career. But it was so difficult because I had a growing family. I had a full-time job. So I'm going to school full-time and working full-time and have a family. And so that was tremendously difficult. And so, I went to school during the day and I worked at night and I slept on the weekends. And when that alarm went off to go to class, because I didn't get home from work till midnight, sometimes 1 a.m. And when that alarm went off at 6 a.m. to get up for class, that was challenging. That was difficult. So I had to really reach down in there. And sometimes we can be discouraged because the people that we're closest to may not be supporting us in the way we feel like we need to be supported or should be supported. But when that happens, we think it's just us. Oh man, it's my family, my town. And we think it's us that's the only one that's not supportive. But really, there's nothing new under the sun. And I remember this, and I couldn't remember this. So this shows up in the Bible, actually. And I couldn't remember the scripture, but I looked it up when Alvin was talking. And it's something Jesus said. And this is in the New Living Translation. I'll go to Bible Hub, put in a scripture, and it gives you 15 different versions. Jesus said, a prophet is honored everywhere except in his own hometown and among his own family. It's true. Oh, I knew him. I knew you when you were 5. I knew you when you were 8. I knew you when you were 10. You can't be congressman. You can't be president. You can't be CEO. You can't have a master's degree. You can't because I knew you when. Well, guess what? This isn't yesterday. And so we can commit to be who we want to be and strive to achieve that level. And so sometimes ridicule is the fuel we need to take us to the next level, to get us out of bed, to get us to study, to get us to work out, to get us to read, to get us to do all the things we need to do in order to be successful. With that, I'll pass the mic.
Charlie, before we pass that mic, give me that quote again, that wisdom again.
Yeah, so it's Matthew 13:57.
Mhm.
I'm gonna read the whole thing. It says, and they were deeply offended and refused to believe in him. Then Jesus told them, a prophet is honored everywhere except in his own hometown and among his own family.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
couple thousand years ago. So it's been around,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
That wisdom.
Sir, yes, sir. Amen. I want to hear that one again, and I think our audience need to hear that one again because a lot of us are dimming our light because a few people that familiarity breeds contempt. So I'll let that go. All right. Amen. Pass that.
Well said, guys. So true. So true. And a big part of it is owning that, accepting that. No matter how tough it is, how much it hurts, uh, I find once we can own that, we can be free. We can be free. Yeah. I was asking myself this question, especially while I was listening to you guys talk and taking my notes. I asked myself, what kills commitment? Because that's another thing, right? You definitely need a strong why. You need a why in order to fuel that commitment, as both of you said perfectly. But it's important to know what kills commitment. Uh, also, right? So you know what you're up against. And I came up with these 3 things. I was looking around, okay, online again, and it makes sense. The first thing that kept coming up is fear. Uh, Fear, and I think that's so interesting because, as I told you a few weeks back, that's my word for 2025. That's what I'm studying right now. It's fear. I want to understand what that is and how it affects me or not, right? And it simply says online that it's an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. Okay. Uh, you both said it. If you have a dream, okay, or a vision that's most likely in the distance, the discomfort is experienced now. And because of that fear of experiencing that discomfort, people tend to not want to do it, not understanding what that actually is. Okay, it's good for us. Maybe it's forging us. Maybe it's preparing us to be that person that has what we're looking for in the distance. And we kept saying it a few calls ago, a few podcasts ago, but uh, pain is non-negotiable also, right? So we have to remember that pain is non-negotiable. It's gonna be there regardless. So fear is the number one thing. And you will love this wisdom, Alvin, because you keep saying it, okay? Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous,
Gorgeous, talented.
talented, and fabulous? Can you tell me who said that again? I know you know it by heart. You keep
Oh,
saying.
absolutely. Let me get rid of the tear in my eye first. Marianne Williamson,
Exactly.
from her
So,
book, Search for Love or something. Yeah, something like that.
so the first thing I believe is that we fear ourselves. We fear ourselves. We know deep within what we're capable of, but we fear that we might realize that, and what will we have to go through in order to become that? We fear that. We fear about what other people may say. We fear about how it may hurt or may not hurt. We fear, we fear, we fear. It starts with that. The number two thing that kills commitment is worry. Okay. And worry, when you think of worry, it says it gives way to anxiety or unease. It allows one mind to dwell on difficulty or trouble. So that fear that I create in my mind and that I'm not necessarily experiencing right now, okay, I'm not really feeling it right now. Uh, I'm worrying that it might manifest even though it's not here. Okay, so that's also the second thing. Just by worrying, it keeps me stagnant. It keeps me stagnant. It gives me anxiety. It makes me uneasy. And both of these things together, they cause a lack of focus. A lack of focus. And when I'm unfocused, well, I cannot know what to do next. I can think of a million things. I can go left, right, when really I just have to take one step forward, but I cannot see it. That's why all these little things that we talked about, keeping things in front of mind, writing things down, it takes them out of your brain. You can get back to them. You can see clearly. It brings down your worry, and the more action you take, the more fear goes down. That's a funny thing too. I remember before winter conditioning in football too. You're up at 4:30 a.m. and what they do is as you get up on the football field or in the gym, they put garbage bins all over. Okay, so they're letting you know a lot of people will throw up today. They're letting you know without saying a word. So there's fear that come up, but the more you do it and the more you overcome it and you're like, hey, I'm alive, I'm actually stronger, they're making this harder, but I'm getting better. The less fear you have, because you've experienced it. You got to look at it in the face, study it, and see it for really what it is. Okay, really what it is, which is an instrument, an instrument for my good, for my growth. Okay, this is really what it is. It's simply an instrument. So let's focus on these things that kill our commitment. It's fear. It starts with that, and then worry, and then lack of focus. And let's have a why strong enough, and the right habits and the right systems, and simply make the right choices every single day in order to beat these three things. But first we have to see them for what they are. And most importantly, man, let's not fear ourselves. Let's not fear ourselves. Because I think it comes down to that oftentimes. Oftentimes. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yes, yes, yes. Some great conversations here as usual. Going back up to Dr. Charlie. And whatever it is you're thinking of, whatever it is that you want, but you're not committed to. We'll go back to the why, and that's a fuel. Dr. Charlie talked about the fuel. For you, the fuel could be that person in your life that you can picture right now who said you couldn't do it. That's what drives me. That's my fuel, is doubt. I love it when people doubt me. Man, it's such a driver for me because of where I came from and the things I want to achieve and the things that, that people thought I couldn't. So for me, my fuel is there you go. If I didn't keep my word, it would be, yeah, that'd be painful for me. As we talk about pain and pleasure, it'd be painful for me to have you look at me and go, "Hey, what about that thing you said you're gonna do?" That would kill me, right? Just me personally. So that's my fuel. So what is your fuel? What is your fuel that drives you? Who are you around? Dr. Charlie brought that up. Go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And there's nothing worse than familiarity breeds contempt. Again, when somebody comes familiar with you, you're not the superstar anymore that you were when they met you. It's amazing how we can be amazed, unbelievable with people we just met. But when I get to know someone, they don't have that magic anymore. I don't see Ray the way I did when I met him. That glow in the eye, that spark. I don't see Dr. Charlie now. He's just Charlie. Ah, Charlie's calling. All right, he's not Dr. Charlie anymore. Whatever. What is he a doctor anyways? Gonna go look it up. I'm gonna go research this anyways. Right? Says I'm familiar now with him. He's just Charlie, Chuck, C. I don't even know if I want to even call him Charlie anymore. Right? That's how familiar I get. So, and there's a little champ. All right. So, go where you're celebrated. Anybody in any circle. I remember um, 50 Cent was talking about water, how he bought water. Everyone's shaking their head. They've seen this. Water in different places costs different amount of money, right? If you're at a stadium watching a game, water is for 2 cups of water. It's $10. Everywhere it goes, but it depends on where you are. So if you're not celebrated, be mindful of that. I love that a prophet is honored everywhere except in his own town. Yes, don't let that get you. In Canada here, a lot of our superstars that have moved to US, everywhere else, they make it there. They don't make it here in Canada, in this small little town, because my wife danced with Shania Twain when she was very young. It was at a resort up north in the northern parts of Ontario. Small little place. Shania Twain. Shania Twain blows up. She's in she's a legend now in the country and everything else. So, but she wasn't celebrated here. So go where you're celebrated and don't worry about people who know you. Of course, they know you. They're not going to see what others see. They're looking at you. Remember, familiarity breeds contempt. So if I'm familiar with you, I won't see your magic anymore. How many celebrities out there, as I'm looking at Ray with his son, how many celebrities have kids who, oh, that's only mom, it's Beyonce. Ah, whatever. I remember Adele said she went to somebody's concert. I think it was Taylor Swift's concert. and her son was more enamored with Taylor Swift, and she thought her mom should be enamored with her too because his mom should be enamored. Adele should be enamored with Taylor Swift because that's the real star. And everyone's looking at Adele. I'm unbelievable. So again, if Adele listened to her son, she'd just be Adele, not the superstar that she is. And that's her son. So now Ray was talking about what kills commitment. And I wanted to go back to Ray said something about keep it simple, right? Keep success simple. Don't complicate it. And I'll talk about that after. What kills commitment? Fear, worry, lack of focus. And I love this other part that he put in, how to build it, systems. I remember being when one of my second jobs when I was very young, real jobs that actually got paid and taxes, the whole 9 yards, a real job with a pay stub. It was working at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Okay. And here I was, probably 17 years old, and they taught me within no time to make the world class, multi-million dollar, then probably billion now, multi-billion dollar chicken in weeks. How did they do that? Well, they had a process. It was a very simple process. The chicken arrived off the truck on ice. We put it in the water to get the blood and everything off. And then we put it in the vat to this 13 secret recipes. And then we put it in a fryer. And then we pretty much take it out and let it drip dry. And there we go. That was it. Small steps. See? But that's it. They made that process simple, repeatable, and anyone could do it. Don't complicate success. So when you're thinking about your commitment, don't complicate it. Get some systems, as Ray pointed out. And I'm going to go back to a few points that I had added to this. One, prepare. If you're committed, if you're see at night, I ask, I put all my things ready. So in the morning, guess what? I'm not looking for them. I'm up at 4:30 each morning a.m. in order to get myself prepared. I want to be at the gym by 5:30. So I don't get up at 5:15. I get up at 4:30. I give myself some time to get ready and leave the home in time. So I'm there. I prepare. It means something to me. So whatever you want to mean something to you, you prepare. Small chunk. This is an NLP concept. If you want something, don't complicate it. Meaning, if I've surveyed people who love working out and love being in shape to people who don't. The people who love being in shape, you know what it takes for them to get to the gym? 3 steps. I grab my stuff, I get in the car, and I hit the gym. Oh, the brain says, oh, that's it, 3. You know what people do when they don't like something? Well, I got to wake up. I got to go brush my teeth, wash my face, get my stuff on, get my gym bag. Oh, I got to prepare my pre-workout and get everything eaten. I got to I got to get my pre-workout in before I actually go, so that's going to take a little bit of time. Then I got to get in the car. See, there's like 20 steps. So when I go to think about getting to the gym, I'm tired before I even start. For someone who loves it, 3 steps. I'm sure for someone who likes to eat, it's only 2 steps, not, oh, I got to get the ingredients. I got to look up a restaurant. I got to. No, let's get in the car and go find a place. Done. 2 steps. Let's get there. So, I wrote here, get a chip on your shoulder. Some people that works. Yeah, I remember that person who told me I would never be able to do it. Every time. Michael Jordan had that, right? He would make a competition out of everything. Everybody, he put a chip on his shoulder for everybody. If you told him it was going to be rainy today and he can't make it, that's a chip on his shoulder. So I'm a guy who likes to put that chip on my shoulder. So that drives me. It works for me. I put my chip on my shoulder. Embrace competition. Love it. Love competition. Love the person who says you can't do it. Love the idea of the cans, the garbage cans. Yeah, we used to get those too in wrestling, and where you'd have to do suicides and you have to do burpees and all those things you hate. But man, I love to watch, look to my left, look to my right, watch other people dying beside me, and I'm still pushing. See, I love competition. I love that. This is what gives me my relentless mindset. Don't ask a poor person what it's like to be rich. So Dr. Charlie's got his goal to become a get his doctorate, and he's gonna ask someone who's uneducated about getting it. What do you think he's gonna get? I would never ask you about anything you're not I don't see you doing. I don't want about anything you say you know, you read it, you heard someone, I saw it on the news. No, do you know? See, I'm here in Canada, and when anything goes on in the world or in the US, I'll call Charlie. I'll say, hey, Charlie, what's really going on down there? Because I don't want to follow the news because that's glorified and they're selling the news. So I asked him, what's it like actually down there? You know, what's going on? So don't ask somebody who hasn't lived it. If that person is out of shape, or if they've never got a doctorate, if they've never gone back to school, of course you're gonna get, no, don't do it. If they've never pushed themselves, where would they find it to support you? Where do you think they would go to find it to support you? Nowhere. And then finally, change comes with certain discomfort and loss. Think about that. And what does discomfort and loss lead to? And discomfort can move from discomfort to pain, straight up pain. And loss is actually pain as well. If I lost somebody, that's very painful. Now, if I go to change, lose weight, increase my income, do something different, and I lose my friend, my best friend, because now I'm alienated them. They don't feel comfortable around me anymore. I don't have anything to talk to them about anymore. We're not vibing on the same wavelength anymore. And I love them because they supported me through tough times. We grew up together, the whole nine yards. I'm gonna lose them now. So guess what? It's easier. That's pain. I'm gonna avoid it. So I tend not to do it. And also it's a habit too. I also have built my life around our relationship. So our friendship is part of my life, and I can't lose that. That's more painful than losing the weight or gaining the money or raising myself or going back to school. Because if I go back to school, I won't be able to see you. And then I'm going to study, and then we're going to have remember that game we have on any Thursday nights? We watch a football game. You know, Monday night football, we stay up. So it comes with some loss. So think about that. With that, I pass the mic.
Awesome. I want to go back to a couple of things that you guys have laid down a lot of great wisdom today. And one of the things Ray talked about and what kills commitment, one of the things he said was worry, which is true. And a lot of people don't recognize this, and so I want to bring it out. But worry is really a lack of faith. And I've had people say, oh, there's nobody has stronger faith than me, but they're always worried. And the reality is those two things don't coexist. You either have faith in what you're doing in your endeavor, or you're worried about it and you're doubtful, right? You can't be both. You can't, there's no fence there. You're either on the worry side of the fence or you're on the faith side of the fence. So think about that. Anytime you're worried, it's a lack of faith in what you're doing. So you gotta get that fixed. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat that at all. If you're worried, you don't have faith. Period. In the story. So that's a big one. I want to also mention that Marianne Williamson, there's a wonderful book she wrote if you haven't read it, and it's called The Law of Divine Compensation. And that book really helped me. I love that poem too. That book really helped me because it talks about, she talks about there's blessings earmarked for you. No one can stop that from coming except you, by your lack of faith, by your lack of preparation, by your lack of work. Now, can someone slow it down? Can someone divert it? Yeah. But if you stay focused, if you stay faithful, right? If you prepare, and if you take action, your blessings will come to you. No one can stop them. Okay. So It's a really great book because I kind of felt like in the past, hey, if somebody withheld a promotion or this or that, or stole some money from me or cheated me out of something, then that money that was taken or that promotion that wasn't bestowed was forever lost. And it's not. If that's a blessing that's set aside for you, the only person that can prevent it from coming is you by your subsequent behavior. So that's a big piece. Another piece of this I really want to highlight is the emotional side of it. Alvin mentioned before. I want to come back to that because emotion is such a big driver into our behaviors. And I think pretty much everybody, knows who Tom Brady is, world famous, pretty much considered the greatest quarterback for sure that's ever played the game because he has the most Super Bowl victories and pretty much owns just about every record in the book. And I remember watching a documentary about him, and the story on him is he was not highly regarded coming out of college. He was drafted in the sixth round, and there's six quarterbacks drafted before him. And this documentary was into his career. I think he has six Super Bowl rings, but at the time he only had four. And when he's talking about draft day and getting passed over round after round after round, and sitting in that living room with his parents who had poured into him, who had committed to him, who had invested so much in him. And he was so disappointed, not just for himself, but for them. He got emotional. Tears are coming down his face. He got four rings. Still emotional, still a driver for him. And boom, the rest is history. He went on to break all the records, broke all of them, but driven by, hey, all these people didn't believe in me on draft day. And guess what? I proved them wrong. And all those scouting reports, he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that, shouldn't do this. We're all those experts now today. And there's something about, and you have to experience it to understand it. But, when people have doubted you or laughed at you, and that hurts. Even as an adult, it hurts, right? But when you achieve what they said you couldn't, the silence, the subsequent silence, that's one of the sweetest sounds. Where are they now? You know, where's that chirping now? Right? Doesn't exist. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Hey Charlie, a few weeks back, you said something that I love, okay? And I took inventory of it and I keep repeating it. You said it gets very dangerous when the challenger gets brave, right? He never goes back. And that's so true. When I think of guys like Tom Brady, for instance, that moment activated something. that moment activated something that was totally dormant. And that instant, Tom Brady stopped asking for permission. He stopped. I'm not saying he was timid before, but he wasn't anymore, you know? And when I think of all of this, having a strong why and taking the right actions, and I'm thinking of so many examples of people that we can learn from their life story that exemplified this. There's a guy out of Colorado. His name is Weldon Long. He's the author of the book, The Upside of Fear. Okay, Upside of Fear. And what's interesting about his story, he built, I think, a $200 million company by being, and he was a career criminal before that. He had been in jail. He lost precious years with his son because of his actions. Okay. And he kept going back and back and back into the system. They gave him chances, they gave him everything. He kept putting himself back in that situation until one day he really looked at himself in the mirror, first and foremost, stopped making excuses, stopped pointing the finger at other people, and decided, in his word, he said, I'm going to become a man of strength, character, and integrity. Strength, character, and integrity. And he made that his focus. He learned everything he could about that. You start developing the right habits. You start living with more integrity, doing the right things. And it wasn't easy, but he totally changed his life. You know, from being multiple years in jail, leaving his son behind, getting through a no, oh my gosh, pal, getting through a divorce, all of that stuff. Well, and criminal, yes, no, and criminal. Well, he built this amazing life. Okay, so when I think of these three words, okay, strength, character, and integrity, in order to do the right things, in order to make the right choices, in order to stick to our commitments, we must stand on a strong foundation, I believe. We must have integrity, as Alvin said. We must have a certain level of strength. We talk about working out, Alvin through boxing, us through football, but life will throw punches at you. It will not be easy if you are not prepared, if you are weak, as we say, or whatever that is. Well, you're not putting yourself in a position to win this battle. It's important to have strength, whatever it is, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, all of that, and character. Character, in order to choose right from wrong, in order to do the right things, that develops over time. Another football coach whom I love his story, I respect him so much, Tony Dungy. I believe he was the first Black head coach to win the Super Bowl. Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy was a man of few words. He never yelled at no one. He was very soft spoken, but he had one thing written all over the building. It was no excuses, no explanations. Okay. So whenever anyone came with even trying to explain why they did, no explanations. You take ownership. You take ownership. That's it. And now we can move forward. And that's how he operated. So he never yelled at people. He treated all of them with respect, but he would tell them exactly what he expected and exactly what would happen if they if they didn't do what was expected. They would be gone. But he didn't need to play games. He didn't need to go behind their back. And that's why every player, whether they were a superstar or the guy getting cut, they spoke glowingly of him. And again, he had a story behind him that forged him into what he became also, because in the NFL, he played as a cornerback on defense. But in college, he was one of the best quarterbacks in college football. But it was a time where Black quarterbacks were a thing, right? So he wasn't allowed to play quarterback in the NFL. He had to go to the defensive side. But again, that's the mission. Wait, okay, going through all this adversity, it made him into a man of strength, character, and integrity. There are other strong values that we could throw in there. These are the three that come out for me, just because I recently got done reading Walden Long's book, which was very, very inspirational, his story. But that's, I would say, the residue of preparing, okay, of preparing and of forging ourselves and of learning and surrounding yourself with the right people and taking action and having a strong why. You become that person of strong character, integrity, and strength, which is truly needed in life. And I believe once you become that person, you can hold your commitments. You have faith that things will go right. Not because you rely on some luck, as we talked about last week. It's because you rely on you. You rely on you, and you know you're reliable, right? You're reliable. And yeah, so with that, I'll pass the mic.
All right, great job, Noah. Raymond, great job. All right, so let's pick up where Dr. Charlie left off. Worry is a lack of faith. And I wrote beside, you can't serve two gods. So you can't serve worry and faith at the same time. One has to take precedence, right? So um, when you think about if someone hired you, if someone hired you to do a job, but they're coming back to you every day to check on you, every minute after they've assigned the job to you, you're an expert. They hired you because you're an expert. You're world renowned. You're first in your class, top in your class. They hire you. But hey, Ray, I'm looking for this thing to really get done. It's very important. I know it's in your wheelhouse, and you really spent a lot of decades on this. You really studied it. Someone handed it over to you. Good with that? Yeah. All right. Cool. 5 minutes later, Ray, you good with that? You sure? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why you hired me, right? That's the expertise. Yeah, okay, cool, cool. I'll be 10 minutes later, Ray, you got that done yet? No. I'm kind of concerned that you haven't got it started yet. I'm doing some prep. It's gonna be a long-term goal, isn't it? Yeah, I know we set out. It's pretty big, but the task, but I'm just wondering how you're doing with it. After a while, Ray doesn't come back the next day because he's like, I can't work with this. So when we go, I love it when people who are, very religious pray, but they worry. That's kind of a weird thing, isn't it? That you pray to the God you say you love, that you honor each day, but you worry after you prayed. You deeply worry, consistently worry. All day you're sweating, you're miserable, you're worried day and night over this thing. At what point do you surrender and say, hey, I brought an expert in. Let an expert take the wheel. All right. So worry and they can't live on the same thing. So then Charlie talked about unstoppable delivery of your faith. When you have faith, it's unstoppable. Marianne Williamson's book, right? What you want wants you. It's undeniable. However, we block it, right? Because imposter syndrome. We don't have the basis of confidence, and your gifts will make room for you. But you have to also make room for your gift. Do you feel deserving of the weight loss? I remember one because people who let's talk about this in the concept of weight loss. I remember working with somebody who was heavier, pretty woman, but carried a lot of excess weight she didn't need to carry. But while working with her, I found out one of the things. Here's the thing. When she lost weight, guess what she got? Attention. Guess what attention meant? She was abused at one point by a family member, and that came because she was curvy and in good shape. So then it became where when I lose the weight, I get attention, and that attention might mean bang. You see, so do you feel, let's talk about in the case of money. Someone who gets money, money is the root of all evil. Remember, they heard that. And they had money at one point, but they lost some friends. The friends felt alienated by the extra money, or they asked them for money and they couldn't give it to them. Another friend says, "Look, you're changed." So that person self-sabotages and doesn't get the money. So there's a lot of reasons why people don't feel deserving. So yes, Dr. Charlie's right and Marianne Williamson's right. What you want wants you, but do you feel you deserve it? Are you blocking it from the weight loss? Are you blocking it because it means, oh, I got to keep up with this? Once I lose the weight, that means I got to keep up with it. Don't know if I want to do that. So, or it might mean it's boring. You're a boring person now because we grew up all the time, people who partied and, Jim Belushi back in the day. This is going way back for those who don't know. He was a comedian and he was heavier partiers, happier people looked like they carried some weight on them. So that might mean you're not fun anymore. So you gotta go and look at that. What's your reason? What's your reason behind that? Then Ray said in the way he says it, but I'll paraphrase. A mind once stretched will not return to the same dimension, right? So Viktor Frankl, the mind once stretched by a new idea never returned to its original dimensions. So that champion, it's very difficult to beat a champion because they now have tasted what it's like to be a champion. They've raised their game. They now have gotten a taste, you know, what it's like. So it's very difficult then to beat someone who's been relentless and now has tasted the gold, had the belt wrapped around their waist. Very hard to beat them because now they've leveled up and their mind's been stretched. I remember when I made my first, significant amount of money, I found I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back again. Ray, did you want to interject? Give it to me,
Yeah,
brother.
just wanted to add something really, really quick about that.
Yeah.
Is people want to be champions for different reasons also.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be aware of the person who doesn't care about the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people, they just want to glow. They want the hardware, and then they get satiated, as we said.
Yeah.
They ate, they're good.
Yeah.
But you
Hungry.
have the guy who's starving,
Mm-hmm.
who is not playing for the hardware. He's
Mm-hmm.
playing for other things, and those things have been activated, and he
Mm-hmm.
never gets enough, or she never gets enough. Those are the real
Dangerous.
dangerous ones who have the fire in their eyes. They're
Amen.
different type of champions, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, those are the ones who have generational hunger. They've been hungry for generations, and nothing will satiate them until they rid it from their generation, right? It'll be handed down. So 100%. And that's why you have to find your why. What is your why? The hardware, and you know what? Nothing wrong with the hardware too, if that drives you, because but yeah, some people go beyond the hardware. And then I said here, sometimes we have to go back to basics and build up the strength. You know that starving part? Sometimes what I've noticed with coaching people, it's difficult to coach someone who's never pushed themselves at my level, anyways, at my level that I want to coach someone. I want to coach the starving. I find I don't resonate as much with the hungry. I love the starving because the starving will understand why they want to leave the session and execute on their goals. When someone hasn't built up the cadence, say they've never played organized sports or been coached when they were younger or been under adversity and so on, you have to now almost go back to square one and teach them the basics of getting through adversity, the basics of pushing through the discomfort, which to them is pain, but to those who are already hardened, that's just as a discomfort. So a lot of people don't know how to push through a few discomfort. So sometimes you have to step backwards. If you're listening to this and you've never committed to a goal or always quit on it early, let's go back to basics and make the goal a little simpler. Get through some discomfort. Don't start out with, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. I want to crush it. No, start with 3 days a week. Go for half an hour. Build the muscle that you need to build, which is leads to commitment. Step back because you can't jump into 3, 4 days, 5 days a week, an hour, 90 minutes. You don't have that cadence yet. Start simple. It's almost like, again, joining the football team or the wherever team and want that person to run those laps when they haven't even gotten out there yet. They'll never make it. So let's start simple. So those are the kind of the keys. Let me see if I got a couple more. Embrace competition, discomfort. Yeah. So those are kind of what I wanted to add to the mix. And there's been a lot of ideas thrown around today. And as I said, remember one idea. You don't need all of those ideas to execute. What's the one that resonates with you? So I'll leave it there, and I'm gonna pass it around for a last run, and see what my other chefs have to say.
I love that idea or the concept of the one idea. And that's all you need to be successful is one idea properly executed, right? And there's all these opportunities for New Year's resolutions and goals and things like that. And I think many times people just set too many, right? They have 30 or 20 or 40, whatever that number is. But the reality is we could just focus on two or three things, right? And really execute on those two or three things, then the outcome of accomplishing those goals will be exponential. You accomplish these three goals that you set out for to accomplish in 2025, but because you accomplished those three goals, it opened up 35 other opportunities. That's how it really works. But if we focus on 35 things we're trying to work on, then we're probably not going to accomplish any of them. So focus on two or three things and that are really important, that are really foundational, fundamental to who you want to be and what you want to achieve. And through accomplishing those two or three goals, you'll find that it unlocks a lot of other secondary, ancillary achievements that you may have not even anticipated. With that, I'll pass the mic.
The last thing I'll say about that is simply, yeah, make sure you're chopping down the right tree. Okay. Make sure you're committing to the right things. Maybe that's also why some people may have a tough time keeping commitments because they're not the thing they should be committed to in the beginning. So with this new year starting, yes, people set goals, all of that. I would say, okay, let's think differently a little bit. Let's think outside the box. And I would say, take time to assess your passions, your true passions. Okay. The things that truly, truly make you happy, the thing that seem to be an unending well of fresh water for you. Are these things in your life? Or do you want more of them in your life? Uh, Focus on maybe one, two, as Alvin, as Dr. Charlie says, and leave it at that. And find simple ways to incorporate more and more of them in your life. I find just this will give you a leg up on keeping your commitment on top of everything else. But yeah, focus and commit to the right things. That would be my last thing. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
All right, I love it. I love it. And then in a way, I just wrote this down, kind of what again, paraphrasing what you're saying is climb that ladder to your success, but make sure it's against the right wall. Right? That's Stephen Covey kind of flavor right there. That's his wisdom he left behind. So it's always this is why again we go back to this is a whole other conversation about clarity, being clear. I think clarity is again it's the first pillar in my four pillars of mastery. It's everything. It's everything. Because we all have intentions, but what's why? Why are we doing it? So with that, what's a one word then that we commit to as we enter 2020, as we're closing out 2024 and entering 2025? What's the one where we're going to commit to ourselves? I'm going to start by in this conversation. I've got another word that I want to commit to overall, but in this conversation, the word that my word is rhythm. Rhythm. Once you're in rhythm, the world is filled with different kinds of rhythms, circadian rhythms, heart rhythms, cycles and waves, and so many rhythms that are there. And rhythms are there because they build this level of relentless character. And this is what I love about, I can literally attack anything I want to. Um, because I know if I determine that I want this thing, all I know I have to do is can be consistent. and build a rhythm and refine it. And then I'm unstoppable. I really do believe that. You know, that's why I wrote the book. That's why I got the degrees and the profession that I'm in and the podcast 223. I talked about Duolingo with over 1,000 days. It's just I just know that's the only way you can do it. So rhythm for me.
That word's going to be climb. And I looked the word up, and the first thing that comes up is says go or come up, slope, incline, or staircase, especially by using the feet and sometimes the hands, ascend. And I love that definition. And it reminds me of a wisdom Arnold Schwarzenegger put out years ago. He said, you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets.
Amen.
I love that. I love that. I'll go with momentum. Okay. Momentum, which both of your words, climb and rhythm, are really involved in it. But, if I push the ball and stop, well, the ball stops rolling. But if I push a little bit, every single day, and I prepare myself and I get a little bit lucky here because I did the things to make myself lucky, then the ball starts going a lot faster and I have to push less harder, but I'm always pushing regardless, right? So I'll really focus on that, building momentum, building speed, pushing in the right direction, and just showing up to really do it every single day.
Love it. Love it. All right. I think we gave enough right there for you to go away and take bits and parts and chop it up and have a piece of this, a piece of that, and fill your belly with that. Fill your soul. So with that, remember, if you know anyone who we want to build this community, anyone that you would like to share this with, who you know commitment is a thing for them, one idea, well executed. That's all they need is the one idea. We'd really appreciate that. We really love that. All right, looking forward to 2024, 2025. We've got a lot in store, planning, and we're just gonna jump off from here so we can make an impact. That's our goal, is to make an impact. So until then, fellas, you know what we say. We wish you peace,
Peace,
love
love,
from here, and a whole little bit of soul.
soul.
That's what I'm talking about. All
Love
right,
it.
we're out. All right, everybody. Until next time, we'll see you.
Have a
Peace.
great day, guys.